Moblins, one of the most iconic species in the Zelda series, found as a member of the Demon King's army in almost every Zelda game to date, but they have changed quite significantly over the years, and the ways they have changed have been big and small, sometimes with games completely revamping the entire design. And this is the history of Moblins. It all started in 1986 when the legendary game The Legend of Zelda was released. It was extremely successful, selling 6.5 million copies during its debut on the Nintendo NES. With that game was an enemy called the Moblin. The Moblin was designed as a boar-like creature, having two different colored designs, the weaker one being brown, taking only 2 hits to defeat, and the stronger one being blue, taking 3. Another thing worth mentioning is not all Moblins want to hurt you. In fact, there are a few Moblins that hide in caves with their treasure. If you interact with these Moblins, they will give you up to 300 rupees if you keep their location a secret. About a year later was the second appearance of the Moblin. It was found in Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, which was released in 1987. The Moblin got a new color scheme in this game, the weakest color being orange, then red, and finally blue being the strongest. The Moblins then made their next appearance in The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, with a slightly more piggish look, more resembling Ganon's image. It generally kept to this simple design until in 1998, the Moblin was changed forever. Finally, a 3D well-designed sprite for the Moblin that looked like a tall humanoid boar wielding a spear found in the game The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The 3D design was mainly because of the technological leap of the N64 introducing 3D graphics into gaming. But when the 2001 games Oracle of Ages and Seasons were released, the Moblin went straight back to the plain old pixelated sprite, which is mainly because of the technical limitations of the Game Boy Color. In the year 2003, the game The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker was released, and we now enter a period in which the Moblins start looking goofy. The Moblins in this game took a completely different approach with more cartoony graphics, making them look like a goofy, mischievous pig. On the other hand, these Moblins, unlike in other previous games, are actually somewhat intelligent, and can occasionally put up a decent fight. Then, in 2004, Zelda The Minish Cap was released, and for a 2D pixelated game, these Moblin sprites actually got somewhat interesting. These Moblins are big bulky beasts with broad shoulders, and were either carrying a spear or a bow to attack you with. 7 years later, a new Zelda game with Moblins was released, which utilizes the Wii's motion controls, and that game was Skyward Sword. But I'm not here to talk about the game, I'm here to talk about the Moblins, and these guys are way different than the past Moblins. If we look at the Minish Cap's Moblins, they're about the same height as Link, but in Skyward Sword, the Moblins are about twice Link's height and about 30 times his width. Then, in 2013, the Moblins got the Minish Cap effect. In The Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds, they shrunk to the size of Link once more. Unfortunately, the sprite we ended up getting looks exactly like the Moblins in Link's Awakening. They're just less pixelated and slightly updated. "2017 marked a huge year for Nintendo, as that was the year the infamous Nintendo Switch was released, along with the game Breath of the Wild, which ended up winning Game of the Year due to its stunning visuals and vast open world. And of course, it came with Moblins, and it seemed they translated all their width back into height, with the new, more lanky model, which most of us now associate with Moblins. 6 years later, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was released. This was an amazing game, but the Moblins were the exact same as in Breath of the Wild. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. After all, It is the sequel to BOTW. One thing did change though, were their heads. Each moblin now had a bone structure growing out of the top of their head like hair. Each moblin color having a different bone on their head. To wrap it off, we have Echoes of Wisdom. These were nothing special. Once again, we just have a copied sprite from A Link Between Worlds, and they just look like A Link Between Worlds moblins. With all the games out of the way, I'd like to thank you for watching the History of Moblins.